Hello and welcome back to this channel. I am Dr. Anshu coming back with the today's Hindu editorial analysis. Here we will cover about the, the current affairs, sports news, editorial. Everything comes at a one place. So going through firstly with the thought of the day that whatever the mind can conceive or believe, it can be achieved. So let's, without wasting your time, if you're new to my channel, just visit to my page. Hope you like the content. I uploaded everyday Hindu editorial analysis where you can just go through the current affairs and editorial that are important from the exam point of view. So let's have a recap what we are going to discuss. So front page is covering about the peace of 84 persons in police custody. Second is about the days after a peace deal, classes break out. Manipur, one dead. Second page is about the Sunita Williams who spent 9 months stuck in the space. A fellow astronaut Butch Wilmore being helped to SpaceX capsule. Next is about related to the same news about the NASA astronaut stranded in space for 9 months back on Earth after splashdown. Again, one editorial is about the safe from space, and one editorial covering about the telecoms tribunal reforms to handle data protection, please. Fourth is about is the PAR ID for student is mandatory. Fifth is about what are the different risks and rewards for using UAVs. Sixth is about the suicides by student of Rajasthan table bill centers on coaching centers. Eighth is about the world recaps and the sports news, ending with the sports. So let's starting with the front page. So the peace that is forming in the Nagpur, 84 persons were in the police custody about the Vishwa Hindu Parishad Bajrang Dal that demanding the removal of Mughal emperor tombs and rumors of burning of holy cloths. So these are that led to the communal violence also, and the custody the newses are active in last from the Tuesday. So FIRs are registered there in the Sadar in Yashodhanagar police station on Wednesday, and those pertaining to the unauthorized motorbike rally is coupled between the two groups. Next is about days after the peace deal, classes break out. In Manipur, one day. So the curbs of under the section 163 of the BNSS imposed in the Churachandpur as the Hamar and Zomi communities renew hostilities. Kuki Zo MLAs called for a peace. So the fresh clashes broke out between communities of Hamar and Zomi communities in a respective Churachandpur district of Manipur. And 53-year-old person was killed in violence, and the official says that Zomi group hosting their community flag on Tuesday. The clashes ensued the killed Laproi district authorities impose a restriction of or section under 163 is imposed there on the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita BNSS after the incident under the on Monday Hamar Numai and Zomi Council agreed to work together for peace after assault and Hamar leader triggered this, and 6 Kuki Zo MLA issued an appeal for calm. Next page is about the it's very it's a very good news about the Sunita Williams who spent 9 months stuck in a space and fellow astronaut Butch Wilmore being helped out. Really, it's courageful thing that if you just went to space for only 8 days 9 days and it changes into 9 months, the courage that you need, the hope and the patience that we need, just prove everything that if you have courage to do anything and have not feared from anything, and it's a very good returning that landed on the Florida coast of Wednesday on SpaceX. So what is happening there? Basically, the space suit that she was wearing was from the NASA, and that was replaced by SpaceX. So the SpaceX capsule landed on the Florida coast. That time she until the spacesuit got changes, and she has to spend that 9 months in that space. So it's very inspirational and motivational things for every girls who just want that there is a courage to do anything. And it's a very proud and national moment for India also. So the NASA astronauts stranded in space for 9 months back after space launch finally concluded a mission that gripped the global attention between the same political flashpoints here. The SpaceX Crew Dragon spaceship carrying Butch, these are their fellows, Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams, alongside the American Hague and Russian cosmonaut Alexandra, streaked through the atmosphere before deploy the parachute gently in the Florida coast at 5:57 p.m. So ground team erupted, cheered, and gun drop saved the spacecraft named Freedom. So questions can be asked: what is spacecraft named? Is Freedom, chariot from the whistling. It's a 2000 degrees Celsius and moved steadily on the waves. Fast boats rested, uncovering vessels that will retrieve the crew before the flown to the Houston of Big 45 days rehabilitation programs. The quarter left in the International Space Stations roughly 17 hours earlier, exchanging the final farewell hugs with the remaining crew members. And the days are long, like orbital lob. It's June last year, what was supposed to be days long round trip to test about the Boeing Starliner, its first crewed flight. The Boeing Starliner is in news so much. The article was also related to it. Will in the upcoming days there will be article about this, so we'll discuss there. To sign the NASA Space Crew X missions arrived at the ISS last spent 2 September to accommodate the pair. Wilmer and Williams 286 days stay extended to usual 6 months ISS, but ranks only 6th among US records for a single mission duration. Is Frank Rubio in the top 371 days, while the world record remains Russia's Valery Polorukhu, who spent 437 consecutive days aboard the Mir station. So these are the records by many people from the Russian cosmonaut Valery Polorukhu. Next is one more about the safe from space. So the early hour March 19, a SpaceX crew capsule bear the ring NASA astronaut Sunita Williams, Barry Wilmore, Nick Hague, and Roscosmos cosmonaut. These are their fellow members. So Sunita Williams, Barry Wilmore, Nick Hague, Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander and Gorbachev splashed down the Florida coast. Mrs. William and Mr. Wilmer had returned to Earth after 9 months in International Space ISS, where they had originally expected to spend only 8 days. In the course of testing, Boeing has now concluded. The Starliner saga has now concluded, not before twisted, but reality of human space flight and context of making virtues of protocols. So the Starliner launched in June 24. So there will be article about this. Launched in June 2004, a series of malfunctional Mrs. William and Mr. William onboard the ISS before the capsule returned empty to the ground in September, and the event spurred concerns of indigenation, popular imaginations, as speculations, and it misses the alienable contingency with the hard human space flight. Mr. William herself has sought to downplay to require the NASA a variety of institution event bugs, and NASA was weak as scrabbled and launched to attempt the capsules, supporter of a US President Donald Trump agency, and all those. The Starliner, the first crewed flight, believe in existence of multiple space agencies to ensure that unexpected does not come out to spill catastrophes. So these are about the space suits that would replace the notion of triumphalism and communication as an integral safety protocol. Next is about the editorial Telecom Tribunal reforms to handle the data protection, please. So the Ministry of Electronics MEITY released on Digital Data Protection Rules 2025. Under this rule, several criticism of this draft has emerged, which included the Union government to discretion and appointment of a data protection board. The Act and draft rule also states appeals from DPF's decision will be filed in Digital Telecom Dispute Settlement and Appellate Tribunal following questionable. However, there are three institutional reforms TCS to handle an appeals from DPV in the data protection, increase capacity. So need for specialists first must be a technical member which expertise in the data protection on a TDS. So writer is also telling that there must be a technical member expertise for the as seen as a better equipped to handle a member of sectoral enterprises. Second is from however increasing the important fields of data protection possess a unique set of concerns and challenges and matter relating to telecommunication and fundamentally distinct from matter, and these issues substantially different from issues in telecom and require an amendment to section 14C of TRI to act to necessitate the appointment of technical and data protections. So the burden second is the burden of cost. Any move to designate the TDS set as an appellate tribunal must consider the capacity to hear and dispose of appeals. Interestingly, the TDS was not only advised to be appellate body for DPB. The 2018 Bill on Personal Data Protection proposed the establishment of new tribunal consistent with the recommendation of Justice B.N. Sri Krishna committee reporter set up new tribunal confers power the existing tribunal. So the TDS is set. So basically, what is the writer like? There is the article about the Data Protection Acts, and here the TDS leaves telecom dispute settlement and appellate tribunal is for disposes the appeal within the 6 months. So there is a tribunal that reform the handle the data protection piece. So another reform is committees made for here. The TDS, however, is combating its own overburdened docket, and there are still 3488 that are pending appeals under the newly enacted Telecommunication Act, and TDS had only one member, a technical person with sole bench. So the updating digital infrastructure is the TDS must undertake a technological update, satisfy the provision of the Act for smoother navigation, increase access information pending. The TRI Annual Report 2023 indicates that TDS has implemented a new legal case management, but the status of implementation and impact of this system caseload is unclear. Like the TDS must undertake the institutional reforms to effectively discharge its function and updating its technological infrastructure, dismiss a number of pending appeals, like a key issues involved in each appeal, and a matter is, for example, telecom, broadcasting, data protection. As the data protection takes a more critical role, India's digital governance framework has likely ensuring the rule of protecting individual rights. Next is moving to the APAR ID. So it's a very important topic, and recently it is very much in news current affairs, so it can be asked. So we are going to have a detailed discussion and also the basic backgrounds about it, education list also, in which list it comes and what are the articles implemented on it. So basically, firstly we'll discuss a basic background is that education comes in concurrent. Initially it was in state list, but it is transferred it transferred into the concurrent list according to the 42nd Amendment Act 1976, and it covered the fundamental articles like Article 21 and the DPSP, and also this it's about the 6 to 14 years of minority education is Article 29, and mother tongue comes with the Article 350, and on the also the article that is already used Hindi as a language is Article 351. So firstly we'll know about the term what is APAR. APAR stands for, it is Automated Permanent Academic Account Registry, and it's a which describes and what government describe as it's a one nation one student ID in order to accumulate and the students and academic accomplishment facilitating the seamless transition. So APAR Aadhaar is linked to the APAR ID is linked to Aadhaar and is stored in DigiLocker. A registry provides the student with standardized data of a mark sheets. It's a mark sheets and a institution and affiliation. So the idea of a key aspect is of NEP 22, National Policy 22, of a mandate to overall the education data collection for policy making analysis. So Education Ministry has pushing schools affiliated with the central board CBSE to get 100% saturations with respect to the student registering from APAR ID. So why it is APAR mandatory? So according to a document posted on ID official site, the circulars by CBSE and FAQ pages have to be published by government. Do not make this clear. Government has instead described the benefits of APAR to students, such as permanently recording the data on transfer from one school to another, entrance examination, admissions, job skilling, upskilling, and so on. So CBSE states like Uttar Pradesh have laid out expectation to school under their umbrella that ID should be issued to all students. And parents often do not receive information which clearly spells out what the program is voluntary. So the APAR in response a parliamentary query in December 24. So what is about data security? So there is still a lack of clarity over the genesis of APAR program when the Internet Freedom Foundation, its IFF, attempted to file a right to information application on its policy document. The union government transferred the advocacy application over 30 times with a no clear answer for months, and the data sets slated to be collected through APAR enrollment and not limited to the just educational certificates and grade. Beside the large scale collection, the data miners without a law to back up it up, moreover, the teachers have questioned the need of APAR, arguing the data that APAR collects its ID collected by the teachers for UIDC in the amount of administrative workers in school. So this additionally section 9.3 the Digital Data Protection Act 2020 specifically prohibits tracking or behavioral monitoring children of targeted advertising to the directed children by entities. So how APAR ID is generated? APAR ID is generated by taking the guiding in the parents to generate APAR ID for students. Schools verify a student demographic details like their name, date of birth. Parents are then required to fill a consent form. Consent form is signed by the parents. And after another step authentication, the APAR ID is generated. Some parents have flagged issues like regarding the mismatch of names in school records, identified document. The user must correct its inaccurate data and resubmit their request to generate APAR ID. So is there any way to opt out? So parents have an option of writing to school and option out for generating the APAR ID. Software Freedom Law Center SFLC has provided a template on its website. On websites of such as wishing to opt out for scheme and can edit their school, and APAR generation for instance has warned mismatch between APAR generations and school enrollment in spite of voluntary nature program threaten to de-recognize the madrasas that have not started the process. A digital right advocate had said so far parents have had a success in persuading schools to opt out, providing a relevant paperwork to show a voluntary nature of APAR. So next is like concluding this article here. Moving to the next is about what is different risk of rewards of UVS. UAVs. So the what is why are unmanned aerial vehicles seen as a less threat compared to the inhabited or piloted fighter jets? So the two Chinese unnamed aerial vehicles water near the Onkia recently had Japan scrambling to pursue them. An alarm was considerably lower than what if been the people would have. The People Liberation Army Force piloted the aircrafts. Arguably, in the most cases, UAV are seen as less threat of than a fighter in same content. So why UAV is seen as a less threat? But it is because perceptions that it is by and large less dangerous. Even those UAV are capable of carrying a weapons payload. Its weapon payload are still less capable of fighter jets, and a large proportion of UAVs are not unarmed, serve surveillance, reconnaissance purposes. Additionally, a lack of direct. So, are the recent example of this instance of drones are being shot down with a mate of relatively restrained drone that was shot down by Iran. and Strait of Hormuz using Iranian surface air to missiles. Iranian call in act as a self-defense as a drone they shed within their space, while the US claimed it flying over international waters. The tension had already high then. Basically, this is about that uh, it's a inhabited piloted fighter jets of the tension that is created for flying over the international waters, and it already highs, and then the US President Trump ordered a strike, but it was soon aborted. So US forces maintained readiness, reason no over military relations. Russia brought down Americans MQ-9, a Reaper UAV. Reaper UAV, resulting in no major relatations, while the countries would not typically be willing to infiltrate another country's airspace to fly close to foreign territories. So there are year-to-year missiles, like one India wears is Su-230 in 2019, and Bangladesh recently deployed Turkey's Bayraktar TB2 near the Indian border. So UAVs indicated a military operation, Indian military, and will soon have evolved accordingly. Next is about, so there was a important article about the on coaching, implemented a table based on coaching center. So it's a good thing, initiative taken by the Rajasthan governments about the suicides that taken place in Kota, and many still there are 28 students died in the suicide in Kota in 2023, while 70 died in 2024. So at least 7 coaching students have died in suicide so far, by sharping decline. A number of students joining the NEET, IIT, JEE, IAM coaching institutes has responded a sign of distress and launched the various initiatives to bring them. So cabinet has approved a bill on March 8 for absorbing the high pressure environment created several coaching centers to widespread a delusion and disappear among the students. So the proposed legislation make it mandatory for all coaching institute to register and bring the coaching center to within 50 or more students. So under the legal ambit, a coaching center control and regulation authority will also establish in state to oversee the implementation of the law. According to the statement of object and reason, the bill a decisive step to curb the commercialization of coaching institute and ensure that they are operated within the stipulated framework. A penalty of 2 lakh will be imposed there. So these are the steps. 2 lakh imposed on the coaching center for violation of certain sections. 5 lakh the steps to curb the commercialization coaching institute, and penalty of 2 lakh is imposed on the coaching center for violation of 5 lakh certain, and the coaching institute will no longer allowed to charge arbitrary fees. They must be provide stress-free environment student besides refunding the fees on discontinuations created under the proposed test. So adverse impact is the coaching student Kota, Jaipur and Sikar have expressed the bill provision and their potential impact on business, the regulation of coaching fees, code of conduct for the institutes, and monitoring the prospectus of providing the counselors to make adverse impact will make an adverse impact on coaching economy according to the institute operator. So the it's a higher table, the Rajasthan coaching center control regulation bill 2020 house calling it students. Bill will be held on March 21. The debate after the. So moving to the next is about, it's about the US strike hunger in Yemen while the Houthis target the warship. So these are the important from the geographical point of view. The questions are much in the international relations, and there so just have a look on the geographical locations about the Sudan's paramilitary rapid support killed that 50 people in Khartoum during past week. Houthis Yemen media reported early on Wednesday. Turkish people detained the stubborn Pavel Mayor Kin is a connection of two probes Grat and supporting the terror. Next is the president of Rwanda and DR Congo have expressed their support for ceasefire after holding a talks in Qatar. Next is the sports related, that finally we get to see the glimpse of Dhoni brilliance. We have to prove the bowl in tandem Narayan and Varun, and keeping the captaincy bearing apart is better. So the IPL is going to be start from the 23 March. These are the tables link here. First one is going to be from CSK, my favorite team, and this time there is exam, so I will just watch some specific teams matches. So that's for today. Let's have a summary and ending this editorial. So for front one is about, one more is that New Zealand India should join the security efforts. Luxon, peace returning to Nagpur, 84% in police custody days after peace deal, and clashes break out in Manipur, one dead. Second is about the tries with the gravity. Sunita Williams spent 9 months back to the space, and NASA astronauts stranded in space for ninth month back on the Earth after splashdown. Again, one news is about safe from space, and a tutorial about the telecom tribal reforms to handle data protection. Please, is the APAR ID for student mandatory? Fifth one is about the what are the different rewards using a UAVs. Sixth is about the suicide by students in Rajasthan, table bills on coaching center. Seventh is about the world, about covering the whole the Istanbul, Omdurman, Cairo and Doha, and sports news. So thanks for today, tuning till the last. Tomorrow we'll meet with new article. Till now, thank you, good night, take care and study well.